Howdy folks, Nathan here with TFL Studios, and behind me a 2021 Volkswagen Tiguan SEL Premium R-Line. This is a 2021, and in 2022 we're expecting to get a significantly updated vehicle. That means that this one is sort of in its swan song. Here's the question though, is it the GTI of small crossovers? So what does the R-Line stand for? Well, it doesn't really stand for race or racy, because it's basically just extra bits added to it to look good. And I actually think it looks pretty good. So you have badging and a unique grille and more badging over here. R-Line, in case you forgot, and it's on both sides. But most importantly, I think for this car, you have the R, which stands for really good looking 20-inch wheels. And yes, it has these fake exhaust outlets, which I still just do not understand, Volkswagen. But all in all, I do think that the Tiguan is still a fairly handsome vehicle, and if you get the R-Line with those nice wheels and the unique grille, it looks a little bit better. Howdy friends. Do you have lots of kids and you want to shove them into a very small back seat in the third row? You can get that in the Tiguan. This one doesn't have it, which is a good thing because it gives you 73.5 cubic feet of space. That's if you fold down the second row. Now, if you get the third row seat, you lose quite a bit of room, but you gain, look at that. Not only is there a spare tire in there, but that is a subwoofer shoved in there, and there is a little bit of extra cargo space down there as well. That's nifty. Now, looking at this vehicle, believe it or not, it's actually longer than a lot of the vehicles it competes against. Has a pretty good sized wheelbase too. In terms of cargo room, it holds a lot more than a Mazda CX-5, more than a Toyota RAV4, but not as much as a Honda CR-V. Oh my God, that's a 184 horsepower engine that puts out 221 pound-feet of torque. And remember when I was saying that it might be like a GTI? It's really not. And that's because even though this 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine is related to the one that's in the GTI, it's nowhere near as powerful. And that kind of sucks, because this car, if it had that engine, would be a proper R-Line, race and radical and whatever, but it's not. You see, it's hooked up to an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is very smooth, but it's not the fastest when it comes to shifting and whatnot, and that's because it's built for efficiency. In fact, the whole thing is. And it is fairly efficient because it gets 24 mpg combined. For a turbocharged all-wheel drive vehicle, that's okay. It's not the best in class, but it's also not the worst in class. The thing is, it takes away from the driving enjoyment off the line. So when you put your foot down at a standstill, it takes a little time to catch up. It keeps up with traffic just fine. And on the highway, you do have pretty good passing power. It's just not as awesome as that R badge would lead you to believe. Oh yeah, now see, this is actually pretty cool because there are a couple nice little upgrades with the interior, and that includes these really good seats. They're very comfortable. The only thing that I have an issue with, which is surprising because most German cars have great legroom for me, this one doesn't quite do it. I have the seat all the way back, and I still feel like I need another inch or two. Story of my life. All right, let me get into the car. Headroom is decent. It does have the panoramic sunroof. In fact, this vehicle is the SEL Premium, so it has all of the goodies, including the digital cockpit and the Fender stereo system. And I would be blaring music for you, but we don't want to pay fines and get arrested by the music mafia and all that. The rest of the interior is fairly well laid out for Volkswagen, but compared to some of the competition out there, it's not quite as nice. Let me show you something that really kind of bothers me, just for some reason. I'm curious if it bothers you too. Look at the plastics they're using here, and then look at the plastics here, which is sort of a fake carbon fiber weave. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know, it kind of looks like it was put together as an afterthought. And for a vehicle that costs as much as this does, and bear in mind, The Tiguan is one of the best-selling Volkswagens here in the United States. It just seems like it's a little haphazard. Okay, welcome to the back seats. Very comfortable back seats, by the way. And I'm going to sit in just a second, but I wanted to show you something here. And that is, they recline, and, oh yeah! Now the reason why they slide is because if you got the third row, you'd be able to get passengers into the back, and then if you had short passengers in the second row, you'd actually have a little bit of space for passengers in the third row, which is really cool. But for a guy like me who's relatively large and wants a little bit of comfort, there we go, all set up. Man, tons of space. Excellent headroom, excellent legroom. I love the fact that you can recline a little bit. There is cup holders, there is rear vents. The thing is that the overall setup of this vehicle is great for passengers, especially if you only have a few. The parking assist camera system is one of the better ones out there. I like the fact that you can push buttons and choose a few things. The only thing I wish is that it would have really cool animation. So like if you were pulling into a parking spot where there's something in the way, like Yosemite Sam would pop out and, no, don't you dare go there, whatever, something cool like that. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. The good thing is that it's crisp and clear, and when you look at the LCD display and you look at that combined with this screen, it really does look high-tech. It's a proven all-wheel drive system, one that has a few different modes that you can choose from. There's a regular mode, an off-road mode, a snow mode, and then there's an off-road mode that you can customize. Honestly, it just changes the way the vehicle behaves in terms of traction control, braking, and a little bit with the power going to the wheels. Especially noticeable when you're in snow mode. In terms of driving this car, if you are interested in driving comfort and you want one of these Tiguans, I would not recommend the R-Line. I would recommend one of their regular versions, which have the less beefy wheels, because there's very little rubber on these wheels, so there's not a lot of give, so to speak. Let me show you what I was talking about in terms of acceleration, okay? This is a good spot to do it. Ready? Here we go. Puts all the way down. And there's the power. And the shifting takes, see how long it takes with the shifts? It's very smooth, but when it shifts, it drops and it seems to have a little bit of a pause. And when you mix that in with the slight delay that you get from turbo lag, it really does make this feel a little laggy. And as a matter of fact, it's 0 to 60 times are at best middle ground compared to all the competition, many of which don't use turbo engines, and those that do feel faster. So this, despite the fact it does have a turbocharged engine, is not that fast. I have here the sticker. Wind sticker, yes. Yeah, it's not cheap. So this vehicle, now remember, this is the very top of the line, so this is the premium SEL R-Line. Comes out to $40,290. It's the MSRP. If you compare it to almost everybody, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, really the main competitors, this vehicle is on the pricier side. And it's not because it's German, it's actually built in Mexico for the most part. The thing is that it does have a quality feel to it that's nice. I don't know if it's $40,000 nice, but I will say this, you can get a base model, which is actually quite good, $25,245 as a front-wheel drive. And if you get one for around $32,000, which is sort of a mid-level all-wheel drive, you suddenly have a bargain of a vehicle. And then you just add a couple goodies to it. Like a lot of German companies out there, they kind of nickel and dime you when you start adding on all the goodies, which is why this is so expensive. Still, for a swan song, for the final vehicle, before it's replaced by something that has more modern design and a hopefully nicer interior and hopefully more powerful engine, it's not bad. Thanks for joining me for the Fast Lane Studios. This is Nathan, and I'll see you next time.